Good evening. Welcome to this evening's Select Board meeting for the Town of Rockland. Today is Tuesday, January 7th. Please be advised that this open meeting is being broadcast live and recorded for playback by WRPS at youtube.com/WRPS Rockland. Please go to WRPSRockland.com for further information. Please also be advised that the open meeting law gives the chair of a public body discretion to decide if public comment will be permitted, but the law does not require that a public body allow public comment or public participation during its meetings. If we could please have Chief Zioli, could you start us off with the Pledge of Allegiance?
To the flag of the United States of America, and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Next we have community announcements. Doug? And welcome back, Doug.
Thank you very much. Happy to be back here. Just another reminder to the community, the South Shore Tech building project regional election will be on January 25th. That will be held in each of the member towns, including Rockland. That's a Saturday. Polls open 9 a.m. To 5 p.m. All voters should be receiving a postcard in the mail any day now. They were sent out at the post office yesterday, so today, tomorrow, hopefully all registered voters will be receiving a postcard with all kinds of information about both the South Shore Tech project and the Select Board's debt exclusion to pay for the project should it pass. And then secondly, just a reminder to the community and to voters that in the spring, we'll be voting on a fire station building project debt exclusion at the annual town election and at the annual town meeting. And then I'll turn it over to you, Tiffany, for the third announcement.
Absolutely. So before the new year, Tilden's Florist decided to close its doors. I invited the Arena family to come in this evening. It happens to also be the owner, Erin Arena's birthday. So she's not able to make it, and she's also a bit shy, but I wanted to commemorate Tilden's Florist being in business in Rockland for 96 years. If you can imagine one company helping this town commemorate all of its major benchmarks, weddings, funerals, birthdays, really an amazing business for this town. And so we do have a certificate I will be presenting this to her to share with her family, but on behalf of the board, I would like to congratulate and thank Tilden's Florist for being part of our community for 96 years. Here's our here we go, and I will be giving it up. Okay, next we have the minutes from December 17th, 2024. Do I have a motion to approve?
Motion.
Do I have a second?
Second.
All those in favor? And that's unanimous. Next we have new business. Doug, we have our 7 p.m. public hearing, and may I have a roll call vote to enter into the public hearing? Selectman O'Loughlin?
Yes.
Selectman Eller?
Yes.
Selectman Shortle? Yes. Vice Chair Child?
Yes.
All right. And public hearing, transfer and alteration of premises for all alcohol package store license for Quick Stop Gas and Convenience, 246 East Water Street. Who is here for? Please come on up. Good evening and welcome.
Good evening.
Please go ahead.
Sure. My name is Attorney John Muradian, Democus Law Offices. With me is Bhavesh Kumar Patel and Ankita Ben Patel. We're here for the transfer of the beer and wine license to Conhio Corporation, doing business as Quick Stop Gas and Convenience. We were actually here over the summer for this transfer, but the ABCC wanted me to correct some notice requirements with notifying abutters for the transfer of the license and the alteration of the premises. As I said before, they're going to remove the auto mechanic business at the property and transfer it into a convenience store and deli for that area, as well as a gas station that's currently there. Bavesh is tip certified. The staff will be tip certified with alcohol safety, and there were no other real changes to anything with the application. Just the ABCC wanted me to fix some noise requirements for the board.
Okay, thank you. Do we have any questions or comments from the public? Okay. With that said, do I have a roll call vote to end the public hearing? Selectman O'Laughlin.
Yep.
Selectman Ellard.
Yes.
Select Board Member Shorel.
Yep.
Vice Chair Childs.
Yes.
Okay, and I'm also yes. Do I have a motion to approve?
Yeah, motion to approve transfer and alteration of the premises for all alcohol package store license for Quick Stop Gas and Convenience, 246 East Water Street.
Thank you. Do I have a second?
Second.
All those in favor? And that's unanimous. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Next, we have a very special presentation. Chief Zioli, if you could please come on up.
Thank you for having us here tonight. On behalf of the police department, we'd like to make a announcement and recognize two officers that have been promoted recently. Officer Sergeant Stephen Summers to the rank of lieutenant, and Officer Keith Broder to the rank of sergeant. So what I'd like to do is just give you a brief background about the process, but also the officers that are being promoted. So Sergeant Broder was started with the department in February of 2009 as a part-time officer, and he was appointed full-time in 2011 and acted as a field training officer for the department. He currently plays an important role as one of our department's firearms instructors. Lieutenant Summers began his career with the RPD in June of 2001 as a part-time officer and was appointed full-time in 2004. He was promoted to the rank of sergeant in 2020 and has served as the department's canine officer for more than 17 years. He holds a bachelor's degree in criminal justice, a master's degree in criminal justice, and a law degree from the Massachusetts School of Law. In March of 2024, a promotional assessment was conducted for the position of lieutenant and sergeant with our department. And the candidates in the assessment participated in a series of challenging exercises and scenarios tailored for the positions they were applying for. As a result of those assessments, Stephen Summers was ranked #1 for the position of lieutenant, and Keith Broder was ranked #1 for the position of sergeant by the assessment team, which was made up of area chiefs. Having worked with both of these officers for many years, I can certainly attest both of them dedicated to the profession of law enforcement and to this community as well. And so with that being said, I'm going to ask if these two officers could step forward, and we'll do a brief pinning ceremony. Lieutenant Summers is being pinned by his father, former retired Rockland police officer Rick Summers, and Sergeant Broder is being pinned by his wife Christina. If they could step forward.
Congratulations. Congratulations.
Thank you very much.
Thanks, Chief.
Thank you.
Thanks, Chief.
Thank you. Nice to see you.
See you, buddy. Hey, Lieutenant, have a good one.
something
I
nice.
can duck out there if you want. There you go.
Smartest guy in the room.
Mr. Summers, if you want to head out that door, feel free. Avoid the line. Sure.
Next, we have town clerk election updates with Liza Lindy, if you could come on up.
Tiffany, we want to wait like one more minute just because it might get hard to hear on the camera. I'll shut the door back.
That's okay.
Liza knows how to clear a room, huh?
I know, all the time I thought they were here for her.
Right?
Hi Liza, Happy New Year and
Happy
thanks for
New Year to
being
you
here.
guys as well. Chief Cioli certainly knows his words. I always feel like I'm dumb. So I appreciate your patience and thank you for seeing me. Originally, I was just coming to announce that nomination papers are available, and I reached out to Doug and I said, due to the timing of everything, would it be all right if I extended my agenda? So Tiffany, thank you so much for allowing me to also talk about the April election.
Of course.
In terms of nomination papers, we have 17 seats available. Some of the seats I already know that people are not running for re-election. So that's unfortunate, so we definitely need, I know you guys always say people come on, so it more than ever now, because there are at least 3 that I can think of off the top of my head, the sewer that need, and then there are another additional 3 that are not going to run for re-election. So I'm urging people to come forward. I don't know how else to do it. Maybe we can make a Facebook post or something.
Which positions are they for, Liza?
The Housing Authority, Diane Logan, actually, who has been on housing for 10 years. It's a 5-year seat. So she's 85 and feels that she doesn't want to be, 90 and quote, with a walker. I don't know if she is walking with one or not, but I
Yeah.
spoke to her
Well, God
on
bless
Monday.
her for her service.
Right, yeah, absolutely. She's going to be a tough act to follow.
Yeah.
That's what she did in her lifetime and retired and missed it. So decided to, you can certainly have her in here yourself, but she's going to be a tough act to follow. She worked for Donna actually for years doing elections, and she's just a fantastic woman. It'll be a tough shoes to fill. As far as I understand, it could be different, but the Board of Health is looking for, I understand that she is not running for re-election, and Board of Selectmen, or excuse me, Select Board. There's a vacancy there. So that's my announcement. There's nomination papers available.
Thanks.
In terms of the April election, the reason I reached out to Doug was because after thinking about the fire station question being on ballot this time, I didn't feel that it would be in the town's best interest to opt out of early voting. So I always get it mixed up, so I have a little Post-it note right here for me to say, vote by mail is required. So we're going to do nothing with that. It's required. And like last year, I asked for you to opt out of it because we had no seats there was no competition. As a matter of fact, I think there was 300 voters that showed up last time, so we opted out of it. But this time, we do nothing. And then what we do need to do is enter a motion, if you guys so choose, to have early in-person voting here at Town Hall for that election. like, I'm assuming, Doug, it would be the week before, I don't know.
Yeah, and maybe to add on to what Liza's saying, I think, where we've had non-competitive elections.
Yeah, thank you.
No Prop 2.5 exclusion questions on the ballot, didn't make any sense to have all that extra workload and burden on the clerk's office. But in this particular election coming up, where hopefully we'll have competitive elections, but in particular, because we have a Prop 2.5 debt exclusion question, we really think it's important to have as much opportunity for people to vote by mail and to vote early. So that's really, the impetus behind, Liza and I recommending that we opt in one sense and opt out, not opt out on the other. And
Correct.
The bottom line being, we want to have early voting and vote by mail.
I do want to stress that there will not be mailed postcards saying, I want to vote by mail. It's going to be on the voter's own, I don't know.
Initiative.
Thank you. To request the ballot in writing with the clerk's office. We will not be mailing out postcards like the state did last 2024. So I can't stress that enough. There will be no postcards for vote by mail.
So you recommend they email your office?
Nope, I have to have a signature.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, I mean, they can email, like, they absolutely could write a letter,
Yeah.
snap it with their phone and send me that.
Oh,
It doesn't
okay.
have to be a wet signature. It can be that fashion, but
Okay.
it can't be like an email with no signature.
I see, okay.
So Liza, you need a motion to
I do
vote
need
to
a
opt
motion,
in
yep.
for the in-person early
Yep,
vote.
I do need a motion.
Okay, so with that, do I have a motion?
Make a motion to opt into in-person early voting.
Thank you. Do I have a second?
Yeah, second.
All those in favor? That's unanimous.
Can I just get some clarification? Is it your preference to have it for the full week, including a Saturday, just so that I can get it staffed and get the word out there that we're having this early voting? Normally an early voting session is Saturday before, and then the week, leading up to.
Yeah, that makes sense.
Yeah.
I'd say do what you do normally.
Okay,
Yeah.
perfect.
If that's the standard, then stay consistent, because that way, if there's residents that are expecting that and they're not available, or whatever.
Correct.
So that makes sense.
Right.
Yep.
And the other thing that I want to put out there is, because this is part of the Votes Act, that the Department of Local Mandates will reimburse us for staffing it and postage and stuff. So I think it's a benefit that, in that fact that we're getting reimbursed is, it just makes sense for this election.
Can I
Thank
just
you.
add the last thing, Tiffany, just
Please.
to make Liza's face turn red a little bit? I know she doesn't like public speaking, but she's on top of her game. She's been very proactive with this. She brought this to my attention. I just want to thank her for all her work on all this. So,
Thanks.
thank you.
Thank you, Liza.
Who are you kidding? She's come a long way. You were
Yeah,
her first meeting up here? She called me an hour before, in a panic.
Thanks, Mike.
You're doing
I had
great.
Tiffany, and who was doing nice, now thanks.
You're doing great.
No, he likes driving the bus. He'll throw you right under there.
No, Liza does great.
And the last thing, if I could talk about, which I can't believe I realized today, a voter said, well, the election's in 2 weeks. And I was like, oh my God, the election's in 2 weeks. If I could just clarify that when you walk into the polling location, there'll be two iPads we call them poll pads, but there'll be 2 people sitting there with iPads, and you'll check in one time, receive both ballots, go vote, and put both ballots into the tabulator at the same time. So it'll be very easy. I also want to add that I've reached out to the police department to make sure everything's set with them. I've contacted the highway department because everybody's like, oh, January is bad for snow. Dave was laughing at me because, I worry about everything. And he's like, what's the big deal? I'll just go around in circles at the school. So, making it the priority. And so I think I've thought of everything in terms of 2 weeks away. If everybody could keep their eye on the weather, I think we've got it under control.
Great job. Thank you.
Oh, thank you.
So-
And if you have any questions, I'm certainly.
Yeah, this might be more for Doug. Can you reiterate for the public why we're going to have 2 ballots again?
Yep,
Why it's
sure.
so important?
Sure. So the first election that was called by South Shore Tech, and it is a regional election, so each town is holding an election at the same date and time within their respective towns. That is up or down vote on the building project to build a new school at South Shore Tech. Roughly $163 million net after anticipated state aid. There's no town meeting vote required. So it's just a vote to vote for this school building project with no funding attached. And that's this strange thing in state law, that this project can be approved without any funding because presumably every town might pay for things differently. So one ballot is for South Shore Tech, and it's a particular note that there is no town meeting vote associated with that. So South Shore Tech is one ballot. The other ballot is your ballot, what the select board is putting before voters, a Proposition 2.5 debt exclusion that would raise taxes to pay for Rockland's share of the project should the other ballot question pass. So if the first question passes and there is a project, then we look to see if our debt exclusion passes, then we have a mechanism to pay for it. If the regional ballot fails for the South Shore Tech project, then it doesn't really matter whether our debt exclusion passes or not because it's a moot point. There's no need to raise taxes if there is no project. So again, it's two questions. One is the project, and when I talk about that regional ballot, it's a majority wins. There's no weighted votes. Doesn't matter that Rockland has more students, say, than others or anything else. It's just they tally up all the votes, all the yeses and nos, 50% plus one, majority wins. The debt exclusion question, that's just for Rockland. That's just our way of asking voters how we're going to pay for our share of the project should the regional question pass. So I hope that's clear.
Yeah, and just, do you know the latest on what our debt would be for if the project passes?
Yeah, and it's a little bit tricky because there's a lot of moving parts. But again, in round numbers, it's projected to be a net $163 million project in total. As of this point in time today, our share of that project would be around $35 million. And for the average single-family home valued at $517,000, that would be around $300 a year for a tax increase. The promotional information, I shouldn't say promotional, the educational information that we've put out for that tax impact, we're using a range of $250 to $300 because South Shore Tech feels very confident that if this happens, our share of that debt is going to go down over time as Marshfield and other towns have greater enrollment. Our share of our enrollment should likely decrease, so our proportional share of that debt will go down. They've also talked about potentially using some of their stabilization funds. So to be as kind of transparent and accurate as possible, rather than just starting with what would likely be the high point of what our share would be, we're using the range of $250 to $300. Again, that's for an average valued home at $517,000. If your home is valued more than that, that impact will be greater, proportionally greater. If your home is valued less than that, it'll be less. And again, the value is based on the Rockland Assessing Department's appraised value, not current market value, Zillow, things like that.
Yeah, and to reiterate, that's once a year.
That's
It's
annual.
It's not every quarter.
Correct,
Right.
that's the projected
Okay.
annual tax impact, that's right.
Yep.
And just, if I may, if for whatever reason the debt exclusion in Rockland was not approved by the voters, could you just kind of reiterate or explain for those watching what that could mean to Rockland?
Sure.
And why, and the
Why it's
importance
so
of this
important.
election?
Yeah, no,
right?
that's a great question. So again, if the South Shore Tech ballot question fails, so again, it's a moot point.
Right.
Even if voters voted to approve the debt exclusion question, we would not raise taxes to generate those funds because there's no project to pay for. Should the regional project pass, but our debt exclusion fails, what that means is we will have to pay our bills. We'll have to fund and pay for our share of that project, which again, at this point in time is estimated to be around $35 million. So the only way to cover the debt service on a $35 million project, which would be roughly, call it around $2 million a year, we'd have to cut $2 million a year out of our budget every single year to be able to cover our share of that debt. So that would obviously negatively affect every single sector of our operations, school department, public safety, highway, you name it. There's no way to get around cutting $2 million without really severely harming all of our operations. So that's the importance of this. That's why I recommend it and why you agree to put this before voters, because there's no other appropriate way to do it other than having draconian cuts. So hopefully we can avoid that.
Thank you.
One last thing, absentee voting is available now for the election. We've had, some traffic already come in and ballots have already been mailed out. So, if you're unable to make it on the 25th, please come to the clerk's office and absentee vote.
Great. Thank you.
Thank you.
All right, other new business not reasonably anticipated?
I have none.
Next, we have old business. The Charter Review Committee reappointments. I will read each one, and then I will need a motion for the reappointment of the committee. So, the Charter Review Committee reappointments: Rich Penny from Charter Maintenance, Pat Foley from Charter Maintenance, Judy Hardigan from Charter Maintenance, Robin Day, Karen Ripley, and Maureen Shorrock. May I have a motion to reappoint the Charter Review Committee as I had just read?
Motion.
Do I have a second?
Second.
All those in favor? And that's unanimous.
Tiffany, may I add one point to that?
Please.
And I'll be following up with Rich Penny, but I just wanted you to know, and as well to let the public know, that the town moderator came in to see me because he is really urging this board and the Charter Review Committee to put forward again a change to the quorum, the minimum quorum for town meetings, especially after this last special town meeting where there was such difficulty in hitting the quorum. He's very concerned about it and is really hoping that that's something that can be passed at the next annual town meeting, in addition to whatever other changes you put forward on the warrant. So I just wanted to say that out loud so everybody's aware of his concerns, and I'll be sure to forward that on to the committee.
Thank you. Next, we have the FY26 budget.
Thank you. This will be quick. I just wanted to give you a brief update on where we're at. I think we're actually a little bit ahead of schedule compared to prior years. We have already begun having all of our individual department head budget meetings. We just finished.
You guys are all set.
Report.
Yeah.
But we can, I don't know if Tiffany, if you want to revisit any part of it, maybe just the one thing I'll restate, Rich, is I met with the town moderator yesterday, and he is very concerned about the quorum, and he's really hoping and urging the select board and the Charter Review Committee to re-propose lowering the quorum again, and I can certainly talk to you more about that offline, but I just wanted to publicly state his concern, especially after the special town meetings, the difficulty in getting the quorum, but they were all reappointed as presented.
All right.
All the members.
Oh,
Sounds good.
All right.
That was easy.
Congratulations.
we're talking.
It's okay. Thank you for
Thanks,
being here,
guys.
So
though.
how long were we appointed?
It's a
for?
one-year
term.
Just a one.
Yeah, it's a 1 year because it's it's an ad hoc committee. It's like 1 year.
More to the town meeting, I thought. Oh, really? Okay. No,
Is it 1 year or to next town
It
meeting?
says till
It
26
has-
on
Oh,
it.
did it?
it's supposed to be
Okay.
a town meeting.
Yeah, I believe it's a 1 year term.
Yeah, it says to the 26th is what we just voted,
Right.
so.
Presumably after town meeting, you might be done and
Yeah.
you can always disband it if you want,
Mm.
but it's,
I think that's what we,
yeah.
according to the charter, I think.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure the charter says it's.
This town meeting.
Okay.
It's just, so.
I'll review that. All right, thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Good night.
That was quick.
So just getting back to the budget, we've already started all our individual department head meetings. We'll be all done with them by the end of next week. So we're in good shape there. The Finance Committee is meeting twice this month, and at both of those meetings, they'll be meeting with all the town hall departments, which are some of the simpler departmental budgets. So we're in good shape timing-wise there. And then the only other thing I really wanted to touch on is I put in your packet, I didn't email this to you ahead of time, but I just put it in your binders today. It should be in the tab just after the letter E. It's a list of all of the capital requests that I've received to date. And I'm not going to read through all these, we'll have more discussions in the future. But our free cash should be submitted to the DOR by the end of this week. So soon we should know what we'll have available for free cash. But generally, I would say for the general fund departments, which is the school and all of the town departments, the requests total just under $4.5 million. And then you'll see the enterprise funds, the Joint Waterworks has a little over $1 million that would come from the water revenues, and the sewer department, $225,000 that would come from sewer enterprise fund revenues. You'll notice I just have this is a working document. There's a couple of large ticket items that I've noted to be funded differently other than just straight up free cash. So for example, I have a feasibility study done to replace the HVAC system here in Town Hall. That's projected to cost $1.5 million, so I have some thoughts about how we'll need to fund that. Similarly, the fire department ladder truck, we have some other options on that. And then the bicentennial track, that should, if that's going to be put forward before voters, to be funded out of CPA. So that $4.5 million does not include that additional, $6 million of other large items. So I just wanted to give you that preview, and once we get our free cash certified and we have a sense of how much we have, I'll be coming back to you as always with final recommendations for the war. That's all I have for the budget at this time.
Thank you. Other old business not reasonably anticipated.
I have none.
Next, we have select board liaison updates. Does anybody have a liaison update?
I do. It's again about the Board of Health. There seems to be a pattern here. Their meeting of August 6th, they had to cancel. They had the food inspector and TK O'Shea's on the agenda. And the meeting was at 6. Deli got a text at 5:55 that Tina Gallant and Robert Stevens were not going to show up. The TKO's rep came in from Norwood, and the food inspectors came in from Plymouth. So that was just the facts of what happened there. And then, as I mentioned last time, on their 11/19 meeting, at a time code of 29 minutes and 55 seconds into that televised meeting on WRPS, the chair told one of his own board members she's not recognized in their own meeting. And then the chair scheduled a meeting on 12/21, which is a Saturday. WRPS was closed, so he had it by Zoom on his own server, which is, come to find out, perfectly legal. He and his mother, Tina Gallant, were apparently on that meeting. It was never recorded or never submitted to WRPS for the public to see, and the codes that were given, the meeting ID numbers and such, Deli and Michelle could not get on to that meeting. So these are the facts of what happened, and that's my update.
Thank you. Are there any other updates? Town administrator report and correspondence.
Thanks, Tiffany. 3 very quick ones tonight. The first is that we have met with the unions, setting the ground rules for our negotiations for the next 3-year round of contracts. So our negotiations will start in earnest very soon. Next, as I alluded to earlier in the community announcements, we did send out postcards yesterday regarding the South Shore Tech election to keep our costs down. The town clerk and the assessing department and Courtney and others worked on a mailing list to send 1 postcard to every residence that has at least 1 registered voter. So if there's multiple registered voters and one house, we're not sending multiple postcards. We're just sending one, because again, that would have, I think, almost doubled, the number of cards and the postage. So hopefully all of you and everyone else in the community that has a registered voter in their house will receive this postcard, if not today, tomorrow. And I'm just excited about it, and I'm really curious really to get feedback on that. And so whatever you hear, and anybody from the public, if you think this was helpful, let us know. If you think it was not helpful, let us know. If there was different information that could have been squeezed on there, I'm really open to feedback. So just wanted to highlight that, and this should be printed on bright, like yellow colored stock, something that would stand out compared to other types of mail. And then lastly, this Thursday, January 9th, Town Hall will be closed starting at 2 o'clock in the afternoon until the end of the day. We're doing emergency management, active shooter training for all of Town Hall staff. So we'll be closed to the public starting at 2 o'clock on Thursday. We'll reopen as normal 8:30 on Friday. And that's all I have. Thank you.
Thank you. Next, we have select board comments. Comments and opinions expressed by individual members do not necessarily reflect the views of the select board and are the opinions and comments of only the individual member. Select board member O'Loughlin,
I have no comments tonight.
select board member Ellard,
I'll just kind of build off of what Liz was talking about the town elections, 17 spots. Let's see if we can get 17 contested races. How's that sound? Or I'll take one, but let's aim big. Nomination papers are there. They're available. Come on up. If anyone has any questions about anything about running for any kind of position, reach out to me. I'll be more than happy to tell you about the pros and cons and any advice that I can offer. I'll certainly be willing to do that. So that's it.
thank you. Select board member Shortle.
I'd like to start with saying words of respect to to former President Jimmy Carter. I think he set a very high standard as a humanitarian, and I think we could all learn a lesson from the example that he set. And he lived to be 100. I sat in the town clerk's office at the town collector because their taxes went up. And the question was always, did you go to town meeting? No, I never go. If you're not going to be part of the solution, please don't complain about the problem. This is your town. These are your taxes. Please pay attention and go vote so that you don't have to scream later. It may not turn out the way you want, but please take the opportunity to make your voice heard.
Thank you.
And lastly, I saw a quote, and it said, "Let the tears of 2024 water the seeds of triumph in 2025. Dun-dun.
Thank you. Vice Chair Childs.
Yeah, I totally echo what you said, Donna. I'd like to welcome Doug back. Congratulations on Tilden's. We're going to miss you terribly. I don't know where I'm going to bring my empty vases from now on. And they were always the first to donate to the fundraisers that I have, queried them about. Very, very generous people. So congratulations in your retirement to the Arena family. And lastly, I'd like to recognize that a friend of mine, Diane Lassonde, lost her battle with cancer. And she was a longtime Rockland resident. I had the pleasure of working and fundraising with her to put up the first solar-powered flashing crosswalk in Rockland dedicated to our friend Ellen Partridge. I'm very sad, and Diane was a force of nature. So, R.I.P. Diane.
Thank you. Just briefly, I guess I can't reinforce the importance of January 25th election for our town enough. So please, when you obtain your postcard, please share the information. Of course, all the information is on our website. And if anybody has any questions, please contact Town Hall, please reach out. But at the same time, please plan on going and voting on January 25th. And with that, may I have a motion to adjourn the meeting?
Motion to adjourn.
May I have a second?
Second.
All those in favor? All right, good night, everyone.
Night.